taking all the time we need. Years and years, we're taking all the time we need. Years and years, we're taking all the time we need. Years and years, we're taking all the time we need.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2020 Vanderbilt University Graduate School Diploma and Hooding Ceremony. I am Andre Christie Mizell, Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Dean of the Graduate School. It is my pleasure to be here with you and to share in the celebration of your incredible achievements. Congratulations, graduates. I admire and appreciate your dedication to scholarship and the Vanderbilt community. The completion of your graduate degree is a remarkable achievement. Given your hard work, sacrifice, and perseverance in achieving this important academic milestone, you should be extremely proud. Along with giving you full recognition, I want to acknowledge those who have helped and worked with you to make this day a reality. First, I want to recognize your faculty mentors for their commitment to guiding you toward making your own scholarly, independent contributions. Second, I am grateful for your other academic colleagues and friends who provided a support structure that enabled you to persist and be successful. And finally, and importantly, I appreciate your families, whose pride, love, support, and steady belief in you have allowed you to be your very best. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the extraordinary circumstances in which you have completed your studies. The context of the last year has required that all of us rise to the occasion in ways that you never imagined as you started your graduate work. The COVID-19 pandemic required that we be nimble and creative in ways that were previously unknown to us. Whether it was the move to remote learning, pivoting as quickly as possible to keep the research enterprise going, or attending to each other with kindness and understanding as we faced this unprecedented situation, I am proud of the resilience displayed by you and the greater Vanderbilt community. Of course, in addition to the fear, loss of life, and economic devastation connected to the COVID-19 crisis, we saw the exacerbation of existing social problems, including deepening inequality for those already facing health and economic instability, the amplification of individual social isolation and related mental health, drug, and addiction problems, continuing racial and ethnic bigotry for Black, Latinx, and Asian communities, redoubled efforts to deprive members of the LGBTQI+ community of their basic rights, the rise of white nationalism and white supremacy, and elevated levels of political divisiveness comprising dangerous and violence-generating rhetoric. I could go on, but I will not. Instead, I will return to my opening comments of congratulations to you. Having endured the pandemic and other events of the last year, we came together as a community to take care of each other. Graduates, you finished valuable research and completed theses and dissertations. You persisted in moving toward the finish line, likely when at times you did not feel like doing so. You provided social, emotional, and instrumental support for others in our community. Therefore, because commencement is a time when we honor and celebrate your achievements, I want to make sure that we add to these achievements an asterisk that marks or highlights your incredible resilience, flexibility, and strength in the face of the intractable personal and social obstacles of the last year. I truly admire all that you have accomplished in this context, and given that admiration, rather than the normative Grand Dean's Challenge issued at ceremonies such as these, I want to propose something different. In recent years, the challenges at this graduation ceremony have included calls to bring civility to public discourse, to make use of your innumerable talents and research skills to boldly address critical societal issues such as climate change, sexism, racial division, and health inequality, and to become ambassadors of hope and change in ways that inspire others to action around the globe. All of these things are laudable. And yes, I want these things for you, and more. Though parallel and inclusive of many of the previous dean's commencement challenges, my challenge is a little simpler. Learn from the struggles and adversities that you face, including those of the last year, and convert them into a life well lived. When we reflect on the last year, it is with understandable relief that many of us hope that perhaps by midsummer, more of us will be vaccinated and life will hopefully be returning to normal. So why reflect on struggle? Why not just get through this period of adversity and move on? What is there to be learned by struggle, by adversity? Well, research and theorizing about the human condition contends that inherent in the adversities we face are opportunities to grow in ways that make life not only immediately better, but also more satisfying over the long term. That is, how we deal with struggle helps us build toward a life well lived. Further, being cognizant and caring about the struggles of others allows us to be good community members who both support and work for change on behalf of others. Let me pause. Before I go on, I should probably define for you what I mean by a life well lived. Corey Keyes, noted sociologist and psychologist, defines a life well lived as one in which the individual is flourishing, filled with emotional vitality, and functioning positively in the private and social realms of their lives. He goes on to say that, far from being superhuman, flourishing individuals are truly living rather than merely existing. These individuals care deeply for themselves, their families, and their communities. And while there are many traditions across philosophy, religion, and the social sciences that propose varying views and definitions of the life well lived, there are several overlapping themes and concepts, including, but not limited to, that the life well lived is characterized by intentionality, self-awareness, self-care, dedication to the well-being of others, and acceptance or recognition that personal and community growth includes struggle or adversity. With respect to embracing lessons learned from adversity, including our experiences over the last year, a life well lived includes reflecting and internalizing the lessons learned from the struggle that help us move forward, care for ourselves, and contribute meaningfully to the world around us. Imagine, for example, what race relations might be like today if individually and collectively the US population embodied the lessons learned from the civil rights struggles of the 1960s and 70s, rather than thinking of this period as something that we've put behind us. Some of the lessons and most poignant moments of that era were the treatment of blacks by police as they marched and peacefully protested for their civil rights, their human rights. If we did that, then there might not be the huge racial divide in attitudes about, for example, the relationship between the black community and the criminal justice system. As many scholars and pundits have noted, in the summer of 2020, what came into sharp relief during widespread civil unrest and protest against systematic racism toward black people in the United States was that whites in the US expressed shock, disbelief, and denial that blacks and other racial and ethnic minorities received differential treatment by police. Conversely, many blacks, as well as other racial and ethnic minorities, saw the events of last summer as a continuing damaging and hurtful history, one eerily similar to the events we could have learned from in the 1960s and 70s. If individually and collectively we had learned the lessons of the struggles of the 1960s and 1970s, we might just be further along in our efforts toward equity and justice. If the adversity in which lives were lost and changed forever had truly been worked through and respected rather than forgotten by many as an unfortunate chapter in US history, the types of reform that were asked for then might have been enacted and would have informed more complete racial reform in modern times. So, my challenge to you today is to combine what you learned from struggle and adversity with the Vanderbilt values of hard work, civility, and compassion for others to produce a life well lived. Wherever you go, whether it is the academy, industry, or other places that your careers may take you, remember to care for yourself and others. Use your considerable talents and ability to confront struggles and vow not to repeat personal, social, or political histories that harm self and others. In conclusion, congratulations on this high achievement. I am proud of you and our entire community. Thank you for making Vanderbilt your home over these past few years. And as we send you into the world, please know that you will always be a valuable part of this community. I have no doubt that you will do great things. The Founders Medalist Awards are given to one student in each of Vanderbilt's 10 schools and colleges. These awards were endowed by Cornelius Vanderbilt in the first year of presentation in 1877. And today, the presentation of the Founders Medals continue that tradition of honoring the student graduating with first honors from each of Vanderbilt's schools. The School of Engineering Founders Medalist Luke Neese was honored at the undergraduate ceremony yesterday. I am proud to present the 2020 Founders Medalist for the graduate school to Thea Jean Autry from Katy, Texas. Thea graduated with a Doctor of Philosophy in English. Thea's research and teaching interests have included U.S. literature and visual arts with a focus on theories of visuality, race, gender, sexuality, and cultural geography. As an officer in the English Graduate Student Association, she was involved in the Tennessee Prison Books Project, among other community programs. She has been awarded numerous grants and scholarships and is finishing a year in residence at Kenyon College as part of her prestigious Yarborough Dissertation Fellowship. Congratulations to Thea. We now have a special message from Provost and Vice Chancellor Susan Wente, who served as Vanderbilt's interim chancellor during the 2019-2020 academic year. She officially conferred your degrees last May, and today she will share the charge to graduates and reread the conferral of degrees.
Today, we celebrate the achievements of Vanderbilt's class of 2020 graduates, each of whom have shown profound commitment to their field of study and its potential to benefit society. Due to the nature of historic circumstances that coincided with their graduation year, these graduates have also accomplished something that uniquely and permanently distinguishes their character. Graduates, you have opened your minds to new ways of thinking. You have challenged assumptions and made personal sacrifices in order to do what is right. And you have entered your next career step at a time when the world needs exactly that willingness and all the deep intelligence and undeniable bravery that comes with it like never before. Together and as individuals, you weathered a generation-defining moment. Your profound resilience has led you here today, and it's my greatest honor to celebrate this milestone with you. Thanks to your compassion, fortitude, and grit, we've arrived at the greatly anticipated moment, the ceremonial conferral of academic degrees. The charges that I will read to our graduates were penned by the late Alexander Hurd, Vanderbilt's 5th chancellor. These charges are part of Vanderbilt's legacy. They've been passed down through generations and have been imparted to every graduate of this university since Chancellor Hurd's tenure. Graduates, in receiving these charges, you are joined to a lineage that precedes you, that will endure after you, and which flourishes because of you. Dean Andre Christie Mazel will present candidates for all the graduate degrees of the Graduate School and the School of Engineering. To the Graduate School graduates, I congratulate each of you on the advanced academic standing you have earned and commend you to the advancement of an educated society. To the School of Engineering graduates, I congratulate you on the academic and professional foundations you have built for yourselves and commend the use of your exceptional training.
The following students have received the Master of Arts degree. Hana Batsai, Economics. Anchal Baga. Amber Musette Drew, Sociology. Sagan Taylor Eatwell, Latin American Studies. Caleb Enrique Espinoza, Economics. Larry Aaron Lee Ferguson, Economics. Kylie Madison Harden, Medicine, Health, and Society. Muni Binaum, Economics. Maya Bryn Krause, Anthropology. Jadai Lee, Economics. Wilford Paul Morse, Medicine, Health, and Society. Kodadad Shawib, Economics. Christian Anthony Suarez, Economics. Nisreen Marwan Zaku, Economics. The following students have received the Master of Science degree. Kenya Collins, Biomedical Sciences. Pietra Taylor Bruni, Psychology. Matthew Prasad Burris, Computer Science. Maria Gorchichko, Electrical Engineering. Quentin Douglas Hoffman, Computer Science. Diego Manzanas Lopez, Electrical Engineering. Emily Markert, Computer Science. Patrick Musau, Electrical Engineering. Nilanjana Pal, Electrical Engineering. The following student has received the Master of Fine Arts degree. Joshua Karunwi Moore, creative writing. The following students have received the Master of Liberal Arts and Sciences degree. Megan Sykes. The following student has received the Master of Engineering degree. Kendale Jamal Johnson, Civil Engineering. Allison Robin Whitty, Civil Engineering. Matthew James Closter, Civil Engineering.
Please join me in congratulating our master's graduates. Traditions in academic dress, or as we call it, regalia, date back to the 12th century Europe. The customary dress and colors of the hood signify the tremendous effort graduates have invested in their scholarly development. During commencement, without COVID protocols, one or two designated faculty members, often an advisor or mentor, would place the hood on the graduates, symbolizing the completion of the doctoral program and welcoming them to the highest ranks of academia. But of course, this is an unusual year, and we will invite each graduate to self-hood. I invite each of our PhD graduates to stand. Please stand. Please place your hoods over your shoulders. There we go. While this contactless hooding may indeed be unique, we recognize and celebrate the significance of this moment in your academic, professional, and personal lives. Congratulations, and thank you all for all that you have done to get here. Would the faculty marshals please bring forward the Doctorate of Philosophy graduates? Again, we ask that you hold your applause until the end so that each candidate his name may be heard clearly.
The following students have received the doctoral degree. Besides their names, I will be reading the titles of their dissertations and will be acknowledging the faculty member who would have hooded them. At that time, we ask that faculty member to stand. Harris Walpole Manning, Chemical Engineering. Single molecule studies of conformational switching and nucleotide binding in the AAA+ protease CLP-XP. Accompanied today by Professors Matthew Lang and Don Brunson. Beg Abdullah Al-Muhit, Civil Engineering. Nanoengineering of the mechanical properties of crystalline calcium silicate hydrate phases via molecular dynamics simulations. Accompanied today by Professor Florence Sanchez. Jordan Michael Anderson Daniels, microbe-host interactions. Molecular mechanisms of HIV-1 maturation and host factor utilization, accompanied today by Professor Chris Aiken. Rebecca Ann Austin, electrical engineering, modeling radiation risk assessment and mitigation for spacecraft electronics. Accompanied today by Professor Brian Sirovsky. William Walker Barber, Civil Engineering, Data-Driven Operational Tools for Freight Rail Systems. Accompanied today by Professor Daniel Work. Elizabeth Catherine Barna, Sociology, Between Plantation, President, and Public, Institutionalized Polysemy and Representation of Slavery, Genocide, and Democracy at Andrew Jackson's Hermitage. Accompanied today by Professor Shaul Kellner. Nathaniel Jonathan Barnes, Environmental Engineering, an integrated approach to magnesium hydroxide use in water and wastewater treatment, accompanied today by Professor Alan Bowers. Yogesh Damodar Barve, Computer Science, Principles and Techniques for Performance, Management, and Validation of Cloud-Hosted Distributed Applications, accompanied today by Professors Anuruddha Gokhale and Janos Stepanovits. Miguela Cristina Bethune, Community Research and Action, exploring the relationship between adolescent media use, sexual socialization, and sexual behavior, accompanied today by Professor Beth Shin. Dai Bien, Electrical Engineering, Physiology-based intelligent systems for individuals with autism, novel platforms for autism intervention and early detection, accompanied today by Professor Nilanjan Sarkar. Stephanie Suling Birnbaum, Biological Sciences, Transcriptional Plasticity in a Specialist Non-Model Insect Associated with Living in a Toxic Environment, accompanied today by Professor Patrick Abbott. Karen Janae Bosma, Molek Physiology and Biophysics, exploring the regulation of fasting blood glucose by G6PC2. Jessica Lynn Bratt, Religion, Beyond Autonomy, a Theological Anthropology for Pediatric Bioethics. Casey Brock, Interdisc Materials Science, automated optimization of pseudopotentials for faster and more accurate plane wave density functional theory calculations in materials, accompanied today by Professor Greg Walker. Andrew Wallace Brooks, Human Genetics, the role of host-associated factors on metazoan microbiome assembly. Mackenzie Catron, Neuroscience, GABRB3 point mutations cause a range of epilepsy. Genetic cases of Lennox-Gastaut syndrome and childhood absence epilepsy, accompanied today by Professor Tedra A. Walden. Hung-Sin Chen, Epidemiology, comprehensively investigating the genetic architecture of serum lipids, from identity by descent mapping, transcriptome-wide association study to phenome-wide association study, accompanied today by Professor Jennifer Bellow. Ling Chen, Biological Sciences, understanding the evolution and sequence architecture of gene regulatory elements through machine learning, accompanied today by Professor Tony Capra. Kofi Shamari Shakir Christie, Environmental Engineering, toward using membrane distillation for brine treatment, understanding energy efficiency and the challenge of mineral scaling, accompanied today by Professor Shihong Lin. Frank Andro Chiarliero, Economics, essays in macroeconomic models with financial frictions. Douglas Huntington Brown Clark, religion, a solid black hyphen, race, religion, identity, and the Black Power activism of Gayrode Wilmore, accompanied today by Professor James Hudnut Beamler. Yishel Yishakan Koti Ren, anthropology, the emergence of the ancient Cacchical polity, a case of ethnogenesis in the Guatemalan highlands. Thushara Krishanthi de Silva Manikuwahandi, environmental engineering, development of decision support tools for water, energy, food, infrastructure management of Sri Lanka, accompanied today by Professor George Hornberger. Kristen Lee D'Onofrio, hearing and speech sciences, bimodal benefit for music perception and appreciation, effective acoustic bandwidth and resolution of low-frequency acoustic stimuli, accompanied today by Professor Renee Gifford. George Duffy, Earth and Environmental Sciences, satellite measurements of falling snow, methods and applications, accompanied today by Professor Ralph Bernards. Glenna Caitlin Dunn, astrophysics, direct collapse black hole formation and assembly in cosmological simulations, accompanied today by Professor Kelly Holly Bockelman. Andrew Michael Engelhardt, political science, the race politics makes, parties, polarization, and whites' racial attitudes, accompanied today by Professor Cindy Kam. Rachel Ann Fisher, pharmacology, significance of potassium homeostasis for neurodegeneration in glaucoma. Melanie Jean Forehand, Spanish, the parables and parabolas of Spanish Civil War exiles in Mexico. Nathaniel Johnson Freimeyer, chemistry, ultra-fast fluorescent upconversion of alloyed 3 to 5 and 2 to 6 core shell quantum dots, accompanied today by Professor Barbara Johnson. Kieda Brianna Fry, cell and developmental biology, the role of microtubules and the centrosomes in Golgi complex dynamics and migration during interphase, accompanied today by Professor Irina Kavarina. Mohit Ganguly, biomedical engineering, mechanism of infrared nerve inhibition, computational modeling and experimental validation, accompanied today by Professor Duco Jansen. Benjamin William Gasser, mechanical engineering, design of an upper limb exoskeleton for functional assistance of bimanual activities of daily living, accompanied today by Professor Michael Goldfarb. Brant Michael Gibson, Earth and Environmental Sciences, new insights into ancient life, the Ediacara biota through the windows of taphonomy and fluid mechanics, accompanied today by Professor David Furbish. Hernan Francisco Gonzalez, biomedical engineering, analysis of subcortical arousal system connectivity in temporal lobe epilepsy. Sarah M. Gorman, philosophy, the role of waste in modern political philosophy. Yuan Zhengguo, pharmacology, homeodomain interacting protein kinase 2, HIPK2, a novel kinase regulator in the heart, accompanied today by Professor Joey Barnett. Richard Edwin Hagner, political science, defense appropriations, the process, the politics, and national security implications, accompanied today by Professor David Lewis. Rachel Christine Harrington, electrical engineering, models for characterizing single event effects in advanced technology circuits, accompanied today by Professor Lloyd Massengill. Quiva Marie Harrington Stack, psychology, the influence of prosodic boundaries in syntactic interpretation. Jameson Raymond Hurd, electrical engineering, an adaptive supervisory-based human-robot teaming architecture, accompanied today by Professor Julie Adams. Allison Hessling, hearing and speech sciences, the not-so-simple view of reading in Down syndrome. Mason Allen Hickman, civil engineering, machine learning-based prediction and classification of properties of engineered composite materials, accompanied today by Professor Prodyat Basu. Savannah Renee Jacklin, astrophysics, analyzing exoplanet survey methods with massive data sets, transit and microlensing light curves, accompanied today by Professor Kayvan Stassen. Christopher Brett Yeager, psychology, thinking about other minds, accompanied today by Professor Dan Levin. Lara Louise Jason, learning, teaching, and diversity, learner-driven engagement in out-of-school mathematics spaces, accompanied today by Professors Ilana Horn and Melissa Grisalfi. Shweta Pravat Kare, computer science, resource management, algorithms for edge-based, latency-aware data distribution and processing. Emily Elizabeth Kimball, hearing and speech sciences, assessing structural and physiologic laryngeal changes in response to systemic dehydration in a rabbit model, accompanied today by Professor Dan Ashmead. Reese Jeffrey Knippel, microbe-host interactions, heme homeostasis and utilization in Clostridioides difficile pathogenesis and persistence. Jenna Weber Kramer, Leadership and Policy Studies, Bridging High School and College, supporting enrollment for college-intending high school seniors in Tennessee, accompanied today by Professor William Doyle. James Michael Kretzer, Special Education, examining the use of structural analysis to develop antecedent-based interventions for young children exhibiting challenging behavior, accompanied today by Professor Mary Louise Hemmeter. Jessica Ruda Lawson Adams, Learning, Teaching, and Diversity. Nonverbal supports in word learning, the potential of music and sound in fostering children's vocabulary knowledge. Hasina Avar Mohyuddin, Community Research and Action, Understanding the Religious Identity Development of Muslim American Youths, accompanied today by Professor Douglas Perkins. Saramathi Narasimhan, Biomedical Engineering, Enhanced Patient-Specific Brain Biochemical Modeling, Structure and Disease, accompanied today by Professor Michael Miga. Paramitha Nath, Civil Engineering, Uncertainty Quantification and Management in Additive Manufacturing, accompanied today by Professor Sankaran Mahadevan. Kelsey Elizabeth Neely, Mechanical Engineering, Additively Manufactured Thermite-Based Energetics, Characterization and Applications, accompanied today by Professor Kevin Galloway. Casey Paula Sue Nielsen, Cell and Developmental Biology, Regulation of WNT Pathway Specification by DUB E3 Interactions. Patrick Gerald O'Keefe, Psychology, an evaluation of balance metrics in propensity score analyses. Selma Abubeda Omer, Neuroscience, characterizing rare disease-causing mutations in genes affecting cation-coupled chloride cotransport, accompanied today by Professor Eric Delpire. Richard Allen Paris, Jr., Computer Science, evaluation of locomotion techniques in room and standing scale tracked spaces, accompanied today by Professor Bobby Bodenheimer. Susan Kemper Patrick, Leadership and Policy Studies, Working Together, Organizational Conditions, Teacher Teams, and Learning Opportunities Created Through Teacher Collaboration. Tyler Landon Perfit, Molic Physiology and Biophysics, regulation of neuronal L-type CA2+ channel signaling to the nucleus through autism-linked proteins SHANK3 and CAMK2, accompanied today by Professor Roger Colbrin. Andrea Ann Perot, Chemical and physical biology, understanding epodependent enhancer-promoted interactions in the regulation of erythroid gene expression. Bradley David Pottiger, electrical engineering, a moving target defense approach towards security and resilience in cyber-physical systems, accompanied today by Professor Xenophon Koutsoukos. Laura A. Powell, microbe-host interactions, analysis of the human antibody response to Old World alpha virus infection. Michael David Pridmore, chemical and physical biology, multiparametric MRI of neurodegeneration in the peripheral nervous system, accompanied today by Professor Richard Dortch. Eric Joseph Ritter, philosophy, Cavil, skepticism, and the ordinary mind, accompanied today by Professor John Lax. Daniel Joseph Ryan, chemistry, developing next-generation technologies for spatially targeted proteomics. Norman Rudolph Saliba, III, German, collecting and writing in Ernst Junger's Heliopolis, Glycern, Bienen, and Jumswil. Abigail Morgan Searfoss, chemical and physical biology, harnessing the power of citizen science data to study the spatiotemporal patterns of birdsong, accompanied today by Professor Nicole Crianza. Saptarshi Sengupta, electrical engineering, QDDS, a novel quantum-inspired swarm optimizer, theoretical foundations, convergence analyses, and application perspectives, accompanied today by Professors Alan Peters and Nilanjan Sinkar. Cara Michelle Singer, hearing and speech sciences, clinical characteristics associated with stuttering persistence, a meta-analysis, accompanied today by Professor Robin Jones. Peter R. Slowinski, mechanical engineering, on the magnetic control of endoscopic robots, accompanied today by Professors Keith Obstein and Pietro Valdestri. Ryan William Solova, mathematics, on the fine structure of graphs avoiding certain complete bipartite minors, accompanied today by Professor Mark Ellingham. Hamki Le Su, hearing and speech sciences, perception and comprehension of prosody in children with ASD, accompanied today by Professors Jim Bodfish and Camarada Stephen. Joshua James Thompson, cancer biology, blood vessel epicardial substance, BVES, and BVES binding partners in intestinal homeostasis and tumorigenesis, accompanied today by Professor Christopher Williams. Jamie E. Tierney, biomedical engineering, non-contrast perfusion ultrasound imaging for evaluating transarterial chemoembolization, accompanied today by Professor Brett Byram. Mark Joseph Vanderest, biomedical engineering, expression and role of long non-coding RNA H19 in aortic valve development and disease. Peter Schuyler Valier, sociology, racial bias in police officers' discretionary search decisions and associated community mental health consequences, evidence from Nashville, Tennessee, accompanied today by Professor Mariano Sana. Lane Christine Walters Young, religion, young adults, intimacy, and mutuality in late modernity, contemporary updates to theological, psychological, and marginalized perspectives on relationship ethics. Li Wang, environmental engineering, energy efficiency analysis, performance evaluation, and multi-scale modeling of capacitive deionization, accompanied today by Professor Li Wang. Matthew Yandel, mechanical engineering, understanding human exosuit interaction via physical interfaces. Yo Jo, interdisc materials science, multi-layer flat optics. Yonti Zhu, pharmacology, changes in function of the sympathetic nervous system in the skeleton during aging.
Please join me in congratulating all of our PhD graduates today. Again, on behalf of the Graduate School, I'd like to recognize those who have made this achievement possible in their own ways. Faculty and mentors who have provided valuable guidance and training. And of course, we are grateful for family and friends who have supported and encouraged these students along the way, especially in these unprecedented times. Graduates, the true measure of a great university is what its alumni do in the wider world. I'm entrusted by the university with the privilege of sending you forth to invest your gifts and talents for the betterment of our society, to lift up humanity, and to bring honor to Vanderbilt. As you take this next step toward your bright, exciting future, go forth with all your heart. Use your education to lift our world and to benefit humankind. I invite the graduates to pick up their commemorative box of strawberries and chocolate in the tent on Jess Neely Drive. We ask that only graduates enter the strawberries and chocolate tents to pick up their commemorative box. I hope you can enjoy this gift as you celebrate today. For those graduates watching virtually, you will receive a commemorative gift in the mail in the coming weeks. At this time, I would like to recognize the hard work and achievements of the class of 2020 graduates who are unable to celebrate with us here today. Please direct your attention to the screen as we honor those individuals.